Actually, I looked rather sweet. My spirits lifted, and it was still at least an hour and a half till time to go to the party, so I just sort of drifted around the apartment, straightening things up, taking out the trash, and got locked out in the hall. Barefooted in my new nightie. And it was cold, it was 6 degrees above zero, and I figured I couldn't afford to stand on my dignity. So I rang my neighbor's doorbell, both neighbors upstairs, down, no response, and up on the top floor, and I rang them bells, nothing. Nobody home. Frantic, I now decided to risk trying the owner's apartment on the ground floor. Well, in that whole shitty old brownstone, there was not a living soul at home but me. It was Christmas Eve, and clearly everybody in the world was out at a universal party. What's going to happen? Well, I realized I was hysterical, not to say freezing, and I realized I could huddle in that icy hallway for hours before any of the world's celebrants might finally wander home, so I decided to make a mad dash to the drugstore on the other end of the block, which I did, running through the snow like little Eva, with the hound snapping, at her ass, praying that the drugstore would still be open. Well, it was, and I tumbled in, and there was nobody in the store but this old man behind the prescription counter. He took one look at me, and he said, "What the hell is this?" And I explained my predicament, said I would have to have a nickel to use to phone to call somebody to come and help me, and he said, "Get the hell out of here. You disgusting little faggot. Get out of the store." Well, it wasn't going to do me any good to get haughty, because I had to have that nickel. So just as nice as pie, I said how sorry I was, but I couldn't get out of his store until I got a nickel and called for help. And the quicker I got the nickel, the quicker somebody would come and remove me, sir. And what will happen? We stood there, staring at each other for a very long minute, and his eyes were just red with fury. And cashier takes out a nickel and flings it at me and says, "And after you make that call, you stay inside the phone booth. You hear me?" Talk about no room at the end. Anyway, I went to the phone booth, and I called a woman I knew, an editor, very kind, with a family who I knew would be home. And on Christmas Eve, out of the goodness, she arrived with a car and a coat, which she started to bundle me all into. And first I said, "Wait a second, I need a nickel." So she gave me one, and I went over to the counter. And the old man's face was still red with fury, but I smiled, put the nickel down on the counter, then I took 2 steps back, and I lifted my dress. And I said, "A Merry Christmas to you too, ba-boomba." Yeah. As Norman Mailer used to write, "Fug 'em." And we're almost done. The main thing that history teaches us is that history teaches us nothing. Right? Right. We all right? 2 more minutes? I said I would...
We're not letting him off till he does.
You know how I said I would never kill myself? Well, I don't think I would, but then I keep asking doctors for prescriptions for Tuinals, and they keep giving them to me. Listen, I've saved up enough Tuinals to stage my own Jonestown massacre. No, you're never safe till they dial forest lawn. But, like the old man says, 'tis the season to be joyous or joyous. Speaking of memories, he's talking about memories. It's near the end of the play, and he's sitting on his couch and lighting the Christmas tree, and he says, speaking of memories, did you ever wonder what would go through your head if you were drowning? I have. It's like home movies. It's a hot Alabama day in 1932, so I must be 8, and I'm in a vegetable garden humming with bees and heat waves, and I'm picking turnips and fleshy scarlet tomatoes, and I'm running through a pine and honeysuckle woods toward a deep, cool creek where I bathe and wash the turnips, the tomatoes, and bird music, leaf light, the taste of new turnip on my tongue, pleasures everlasting, hallelujah. Not far away a snake, a cotton-mouth water moccasin, writhes, ripples across the water. I'm not afraid of it. Now I'm standing at the window of a pension on a Mediterranean island watching the afternoon passenger boat arrive from the mainland. Suddenly on the wharf carrying a suitcase is someone I know very well, someone who had said goodbye, someone who's apparently had a change of mind. So, is it the real turtle soup or only the mock? Or is it at long, now a young man with black cowlicked hair. He's wearing a leather harness that keeps his arms strapped to his sides, and he's trembling, speaking to me, smiling, but all I can hear is the roar of blood in my ears. 20 minutes later, he's dead, hanging from the end of a rope. Now the mental slides. I'm moving faster and faster. I'm nursing to life a bulldog puppy ill to death with distemper, and the puppy lives, picking apples on unordered afternoons, a face close by. Is it the Taj Mahal I see, or merely Asbury Park? Or is it at long last love? Oh, it's 1966. My beautiful black and white ball at the Plaza Hotel cost me $75,000, worth every penny of it. 400 of my truest friends there. The press called it the party of the decade. Betty Bacall and Jerry Robbins holding the floor, and they're wonderful. Everything is wonderful. It's my night. I'm at the top, very top of my game. And once more the creek, the taste of raw turnip on my tongue, the flow of summer water embracing my nakedness, and there, just there, swiveling, tangling on the surface, the exquisitely limber and lethal cottonmouth. But I'm not afraid. Is it an earthquake or only a shock? Is it the real turtle soup or merely the mock? Is it Granada I see, or Asbury Park, or is it at long last shit? And he leaves the stage and he puts on his coat and hat and takes his presents. And his hand looks up at the tree before he leaves, and he says, well, still, when it's time to go, should we just laugh? And that's the end of the show.